right, everyone. Welcome to another episode two. What did I say this thing? I think it was 298 or three. I don't remember what it was. I put it up on the thing. Anyways, welcome to episode two in the Nunn. You see, I'm not in my normal studio, and I have a special guest with me tonight. He's been on the show before. I don't know if we said your last name before. We kind of keep that secret.
Yeah, I'm on a few lists.
Yeah, we just call him Mr. Paul. How's that, Mr. Paul? Been on the show before. I am located in Bravo Foxtrot Echo, Virginia, and but also known as Barbersville, Virginia. So I am down here at a friend's place. We're going to have him on a little bit. We're going to have rotating guests tonight, and we're going to be talking about all kind of things. So Paul's been on the show before. Very sharp guy. Has a few opinions about things. Would you say you're opinionated?
I like to massage things forcefully in a public way.
Oh, okay. That's massaging in a public way can be taken a lot of different ways. Forcefully might get you like arrested, but
Well, it's the key is that they don't know it's forceful.
right. So, Paul, you have been you are an exciting personality who's been everywhere from the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial to Mar-a-Lago to the halls of Congress and everywhere in between. I would say, right?
You know, it's the thing about America.
And you have a special friend here.
We do have a friend, Brisket. Do you want to be on? Brisket's a talker.
She seems jealous that she's not on.
Yeah, the wonderful thing about America is that we have the choice to travel around and do things right now.
That's right. And now Lucky's looking at me like I want to get in there next to him.
I think we all look like on the old Wile E. Coyote where everybody looks like a chicken dinner.
Yeah, I think so. But Lucky always has a very serious look on his face.
Like he's the guard dog. He's chill until it's time to go Ubar, I guess.
Yep. So Paul, let's talk. So you obviously full-time job. You do things. If you want to talk about that, give a little bit of your background.
Sure.
Or kind of talk about that.
Well,
what you do.
I'm the guy that people call that fixes things. So I've got a lot of different experiences.
And you work in music industry too. I didn't bring
work
that up.
in music. Yeah. I've contracted for certain organizations. The church today, an old church today, for some consulting on production guidance, and I'm always busy. Yep. And but it's kind of the entrepreneurial spirit, which I love about this country is that still I think. You know, the idea is, well, you're going to go to college, you're going to get indoctrinated, and that's how you get a job. And without that sort of path, well, you're uneducated and a buffoon. Somehow I've managed to keep the buffoon down without the severe higher learning. But I do a lot of self, kind of like the Abe Lincoln, read a lot, try to figure things out a lot on my own.
And keep the buffoonness to the minimum, or?
I could do better with it.
It all depends on who you ask. So you talked about the music and audio. You've been very much you do producing different music of all kinds of genres.
Yeah.
And you run sound and do all that kind of stuff. You understand how all that works and everything like that. And that's just one thing you do.
Well, I think the fun stuff that I do sometimes is I'll get calls to do large events. Like last year, I was down helping produce an event in Mar-a-Lago. Not for the Trumpster himself, but in his venue. Of course, he shows up and he supports. It was for a veterans organization called Helping a Hero. Mm-hmm. So they called me in. I was their annual event. I was there the year before, and they call me in to sort of help put things to bed when things look like they're getting a little bit off the rails. So They know that I'm Johnny on the spot. I can keep things headed. Keeping disasters at bay, essentially.
Okay.
So I can think outside of the box and move fast, and I like chaos.
And you like chaos. So you've done big shows down at Mar-a-Lago. You did run into President Trump down there, right?
I did.
Yes.
It was kind of
Were you wearing that hat? Because he commented about it.
Yeah. It was another Stetson.
Okay.
And I was running between the pool and the main ballroom. Which, if you ever get a chance to go to Mar-a-Lago, go. Will it be cheap? Probably not, but it's still cool. And it's kind of like our own Taj Mahal here in America, to my eyes, except it's the Taj Mahal to the living as far as I'm concerned. the splendor of it, the excitement, and I got to tell you, I met a lot of patriots there, and a lot of people beat up on people that have done well for themselves. It's like, oh, the bad wealthy people, and I met some of the most amazing patriotic folks there in my life, and I wouldn't be in the room with a lot of these folks normally, but I met people from all over the country, a lot of well-to-do, and but are very much patriotic and love America and love everything about America. And that's kind of the theme at Mar-a-Lago. It's like Disney World for freedom. I know that sounds a bit redundant.
That should be the tagline, like over the gates, like
Disney
Mar-a-Lago,
Disney World for freedom.
There we
Except there they don't. Trump, version of woke, is a little bit more something that I can sort of be happy with.
Yeah.
His woke is like our guy Cameron, is being woke in a real way and trying to make the country better and do our job, leave it better than we found it.
Woke to what the founding fathers intended, right?
Exactly.
So speaking of Cameron, I was just with him a little bit ago. I was just Cameron Hamilton, who we've had on the show. He's running for Virginia District 7, former Navy SEAL, great American and patriot. Paul's been very involved with his campaign. I was just about 30 minutes from here and got to spend about a half hour with him in his office. Finally meet him in person. We've had him on the show a lot. In fact, we've had Paul on the show. I finally get a chance to meet him in person. And so I was able to do that. And great things are coming out of him. And we'll keep Cameron up. We'll keep him on, keep updates from him going as he continues and works towards, I think, a June 20th primary.
Yeah, there's a primary, and we're up against a deeply funded candidate who's kind of been adopted as the heir apparent by Kevin McCarthy's people, whereas Cameron is kind of like a grassroots of the people, by the people, for the people kind of candidate.
Freedom Caucus kind of guy.
Yeah, but it's not. The Freedom Caucus kind of gets beat up on a lot because they're disruptors.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Republican Party goes, hard to work with. And I'm a big guy that says, look, sometimes we got to put our oars in the water together going in the same direction. It might not be the destination you want, but, at the end of the day, we all have to work together as Americans. The dilemma is on a Republican primary, you've got a lot of people that may sit on different spectrums on their comfort with the Constitution as maybe you and I might see it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the Constitution is an inconvenience, whereas I think with somebody like Cameron, the Constitution is in stone.
Yeah, absolutely. He knows it well. The few minutes I spent talking with him, I mean, it is what he's living and breathing every day. And we definitely need more like him. Not just that he is a veteran that served, which is admirable to also come back and give in public service to serve country, but just that he, you can tell he's in it for the right reasons, and he is grounded in not only his faith, but in his patriotism for this country.
Yeah, and it's not a game for him. It's dyed in the wool.
Right.
He's always sort of speaking to enthusiastically with his connection to Madison and the Constitution, and it animates him.
Yeah.
And I tell people this. I say, one of the things I like about Cameron, and if you've met enough House of Representatives and enough senators, there's kind of a decorum. The House of Representatives, U.S. and sometimes even state, tends to be the bar where everybody gets, in bar fights with each other. Whereas in the Senate, a lot of times there's a decorum,
which they kind of they refer to as the upper house.
Right.
The upper
Cameron it's like he embodies both. He embodies the sort of like the grassroots sort of bare knuckles honesty that you might get in the House from someone who's strictly serving their constituents. But then he really sees that higher altitude picture like a gentleman statesman would. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's that, a man of faith, understands decorum. I mean, he's worked in pretty high positions in government, so he knows how to get along with others. And I've actually seen him unite people that in other Republican events have not come along. So he's kind of like a uniting force that brings people that normally get along, even in the Republican Party, together. So that's kind of for me the real issue. Democrats tend to work really well together. They stay in their lane. They stay on message. even if the message is a Vindman message of Trump bad, that kind of stuff. And by the way, the guy that's running on the Democratic side, and I'm seeing a lot of heavy advertising. It feels like it's the same as Spamberger's team. It's the same.
Who is the current, current representative for 7? Yep. Who, for those that aren't in tune with Virginia politics, obviously I don't live here, so I know a little bit through you guys, but there's term limits in for the governor of Virginia, and Spamberger is a female, right?
Yes.
She is running. She is possibly. I don't know if she's put her hat in the ring or whatever, but she is possibly looking.
She's already advertising for the seat of governor.
So she's running for the governor, which is opening up her seat.
She was advertising December of last year, whereas we don't really know who our real Republican governor is. And I think a lot of people in the party are kind of going, oh well, I'm not seeing a lot of energy. One thing I just wanted to say is that it seems like Democrats are really good at building their replacement and building their leadership that follows behind them, whereas a lot of Republicans they're so busy fighting for their own ecosystem. I feel like they don't do such a good job of teeing up the ball for the next leader,
right?
To fill their shoes.
They kind of don't. They don't raise their second in command. And
they don't. They like a stay in your lane second in command.
Yeah.
And I think Democrats would do the same, but.
And you're talking about across the political ecosystem, not just Virginia. Yeah.
I mean, the old adage is Republicans tend to govern like they lost when they win.
That's an interesting statement. Yeah. I haven't heard that.
It's a common sort of sentiment. You saw with the trifecta with Trump and we had the House and the Senate.
Right.
And
full mandate.
Yeah, and nothing happens.
Right.
I mean, some things did happen. Trump managed to, but most of it was executive order.
Right. Which is continued to be overused and really is not, in my opinion, being used in a way it was never intended. It's almost gotten abused because what happens, just like what happened before, Biden came in, reversed all those executive orders because they weren't laws passed by Congress. They don't have any stickiness. And sure enough, President Trump's already said if he wins and comes back in, day one, he's removing all those executive orders. And it's going to flip flop again. And that kind of inconsistency, or you could say flip flopping, or just those gyrations are not what our country was intended to be, or how it's intended to be run. It's meant to have laws passed, right? So we have, whether it's a constitutional amendment or a law or whatever, that has to have a certain big majority percentage to make it in play. It has to be representative of the majority of the people, not one person just signing, and handing out pens. So it runs for a couple of years and then all gets changing. Because we're talking about things, whether it be the border migration or whatever it may be, energy and pipelines. These are everyday American impacting events. These are not just, hey, I'm proclaiming this National Cowboy Hat Day and I signed it and hands out a pen. These are things that, when those happen, people lose jobs.
Yeah.
People lose their lives.
Right? Or the winners are chosen.
And the winners are chosen. And it's just like, and you're just handing out favors. And that's not how this country was ever designed to run or have laws passed or have, things enacted. But yeah. So, so what are your thoughts as we approach here? We are in April. We have we have an RNC and a DNC coming up, a Democratic National Convention coming up in August. We have an election in November. President Trump and it's funny, every election, the last several, we always heard, this is the most important election. And it's not just a cliche play on words. Each one has been truly that much more important. And I think we're at that now yet again, right?
Well, it's kind of like a ship on course, and we keep patching the same holes, and the rate at which the ship sinks.
And we keep running in the same rocks.
Yeah, same rocks, same holes, same rust holes,
right.
Same patch. But I do agree that this is a serious election. I also have a lot of confidence in America. I meet a lot of young people, and I have a YouTube channel, and I do videos on history to try to get a lot of young people engaged, and I find that there are more and more younger people that are asking questions.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of faith. We've got the Star Trek computer, Captain Kirk computer on hand. Well, these kids grew up with it. A guy like me didn't get it until I was an adult,
right,
older in age. A lot of the young have grown up earlier with these devices from the beginning. So I think that with more informed, they say that anybody that's a Democrat or that anybody who's young and not a Democrat has no heart. Anyone that's older and not a Republican has no brain. There's this natural arc of the youth to eventually start to see the pragmatic, outcome of their decision-making process. So I have a lot of faith. The more you learn about history, the more you realize that all these kids today come from really good stock.
Right.
We didn't become an amazing country by accident.
Right.
But I think if we all do our part to lift up the youth, how we raise our kids, how we engage, and more specifically, how we embrace the youth and a little more patient with them at times, kind of like the models for a good parent. We can't bludgeon them. But I have a lot of faith in the youth. I really do.
It's interesting you say that, right? So I have my youngest son is in college, and he's been there for a few years, and not far from New York City, and all of his friends and a lot of people in his circles are for the last several years are all pretty much mostly from Long Island, New York City. Pretty much all hardcore. We're just raised that way, right? They follow their parents. They only heard one way, and it's and he just keeps to himself. He didn't talk about it, but he just doesn't believe the way a lot of them believe. But he doesn't put it in their face. He doesn't do that. He just kind of does his thing. But every once in a while when he's home, I talk to him about it. I'm like, how is we could talk about politics and this and that. It's a pretty common topic in our house. And he's like, so many of them have turned around. So many of them come now.
He's seeing.
They 100%. They realize, like, he never said I'm conservative on this. They just kind of picked up on it through regular everyday interaction and things said and done. And now they're coming to him and saying, yeah, people are literally coming to him and saying, I made a mistake. Like,
wow.
when these are college kids in college from the New York City, Long Island area, somewhere in that general area.
Long Island is a hotbed.
It's a very much, yeah.
And
that's where Zeldin came
event
from. Yeah, that's where Zeldin came from. Suffolk County is super, super red.
And a lot of well-to-dos, a lot of well-heeled families that are, they're not angry conservatives. They're just people that are pragmatic. They understand common sense has value.
Right. And that goes up to about halfway to what they call Nassau County, which is about the closer part of Long Island to the city, and then you get into Brooklyn, Queens. It's a whole different game.
Yeah.
But his friends are there. I mean, and he said pretty much all of them are like, no way I'm voting for Biden. We made a mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. And it's not him having to force it on him. It's not him trying to just browbeat them into saying, or he definitely doesn't do I told you so or whatever. He just kind of nods his head and is glad they are.
He's humble about it.
But you know what? They're, like you said, usually when you get older, people maybe tend to go conservative. That's usually a lot of times is because they care about their money and where their taxes go. And I think this is just my opinion, we're seeing this probably happen faster in the youth I got to keep it to where, my area in New York because of the other political changes in New York. When you have the crime reform or the bail reform and no bail laws and the sanctuary cities and all the crime that is taking crazy, these kids grew up taking subways to elementary school, right? It's not a big deal, right?
Wow.
There's
it is now,
right? But back, many times I've been in the city, and there's kids that's their commute to middle school and high school. They just ride the subways. Now they can't at all, right? Now they've seen their family members be assaulted. They have shootings outside their houses that they've never had before, and so I think we're seeing probably young people realize this sooner in areas like that because it's just magnified.
It's rubber on the road for them.
All this other stuff that's happening through democratic policies, and they're going, this is not. I mean, besides the fact that they're not seeing their money stay in their pocket as much, they're seeing all these other things that every one of us is going on in this country, and they're going, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. What is your thoughts if you could? And I know this is a big guess and swag, and not what you would like to see, but what you think will happen in November based on everything. You were very tuned in a lot of things political. How do you think that's going to turn out? Do you see it as a nail biter, a landslide, a late breakthrough? Any idea how you think the temperature of the country, how it's going to turn out?
So COVID changed everything. Mail-in voting changed everything. Whatever we thought we knew going into the last presidential election, all bets were off because it was chaos, and it was it was a black swan event.
Absolutely.
And you don't have a game plan for that. You don't have best practices. I think a lot of the Republican Party, because I will answer the question, but it's a tough one. There's a lot of poll involvement with Republicans in poll watching. There was a lot of people that tried to sue on the election. In almost all the cases, were told they had no standing. So the actual the facts of a lot of the cases, and sort of questioning, was the mail-in and the voter harvesting legit or not legit? It was kind of dismissed as nobody has standing to talk about this. So you can't really get into the gerrymandering of the election. It's just not how you go at this. So the question I have, and as we see it, like right now, they're going after Trump with all his holdings in New York.
Right.
The dirty pool that's being played in the election with the Democrats, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And Bannon had talked about the pendulum as things swing. So so votes, prima facie on the numbers. There's you can make the case that Trump would win by the numbers, even with heavy voter ballot harvesting and the whole deal, and counterbalanced by a lot of Republicans are poll watching now. There's a very disproportionate amount of Democratic operatives as poll watchers. The numbers were insane. It was like 8-1, where all the poll watchers were Democrats. And then you had these last minute voter numbers come out of nowhere from mail-in voting. Now, I don't know what's right or wrong. It certainly affects voter confidence, at the very least. You can give it that. So the one statement is, well, if people are, if voter confidence is affected, and a lot of your people that would vote conservative for Trump say, well, it's not going to make a difference. So the apathy, if you will, that would be a concern that I have, that it doesn't make any difference. And I've heard a lot of poll watching and a lot of questions that are asked, or people saying, well, I'm just not going to vote for Biden. It's not they're going to vote for Trump. They're just not going to go.
Right.
They're disgusted with all of it. I see still to this moment that there's such tremendous efforts to take Trump out, and they legally with lawfare. And
don't you think that's emboldening people to put him back in? Doesn't I mean they talked about it, right? Every indictment, his poll numbers kept going up. People, everyday American people, are seem to be going, okay, enough's enough. I mean, if you keep, like, if it's happening to him, like, I think the American people are between Russia, and all the different controversies and the 2 impeachment attempts and all that kind of stuff, and they keep seeing it coming on, and they had, Blasey Ford come on, all this stuff. I mean, all this stuff they're just like, okay, everything this guy does. I mean, even now, right, the current administration is still blaming him for everything that's going on wrong today, right?
And a lot of people
they blamed Afghanistan on him.
Yep.
They blamed the border on him. They blame. I think the American people.
They blamed the economy on.
But when the they is the press, the left establishment, the media, Hollywood is the ones doing it. I just look at yesterday that President Trump is just off the cuff walking into an Atlanta Chick-fil-A and talking to people and not needing note cards, not needing to ask who to call.
Oh yeah.
And just talking to people, and these people coming out. Were they black? Yes. Were they white? Yes. They were everything. Inner city Atlanta, coming out, hugging and saying that we don't listen to them. They got us wrong and all that stuff. I think that is a micro snapshot of really what's going on in this country. I agree with you that one, my personal opinion is to kind of answer what I asked you earlier. My answer is I think it's going to be a landslide like nobody's business. I think this country is going to be as shocked. Not I won't say this country. I think the people pushing this, the left, the media, the Hollywood, are going to be more shocked than they were in 2016 when they beat Hillary, because they were, they had told themselves over and over she was winning, she was in, all that kind of stuff, and when it happened, they just couldn't even accept it because pollsters just collect the data they want, and they so much drink their own Kool-Aid.
And then the means that they want to collect.
They drink their own Kool-Aid that they didn't see coming. Now, a lot of people, I think a big reason why Trump won is what you just said, and it's actually something that Kamala Harris talked about recently, which is they got to get people off the couch. I think it's just people absolutely did not want Hillary. They just said, hey, you're not going to, I can't be blamed either way. I'm not even going to vote. I think that's what we're going to see in November. a lot worse. In the fact, worse for them, better for us. In the fact that they're going to sit there and go, I mean, they see what Joe, they see he can barely even like operate. And it's going to do nothing but get worse. If he is the candidate that comes out of the convention and is the candidate that is put up in November, notice I throw the word if in a few places, um, he is going, there's a lot of people that aren't even going to come to the polls. They're not on fire. You don't see Biden signs. You don't see any of that kind of stuff.
Oh, no, but you never did.
Right. And you're going to see people show up, and you're going to see these populations, independents, Latinos, African American communities, women that always kind of went towards the Democrat side. It does not take much to tip them over, which causes that landslide to get that much bigger.
Yeah.
And I think between people that are staying home saying, I can't vote for Trump for whatever reason, but I'm not voting for that dude. And I'm not going to vote for Biden.
And they can say my conscience is clear.
Yeah.
I'll let everybody else own it.
They'll still bitch the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Right? But they're going to say, I didn't say it was him, right? I think between that and the groups that have increased the poll, you see the polls are increasing on these minority groups coming over. And look, a lot of people wanted people behind. So they wanted Nikki, they wanted this, they wanted that. Well, he's it now. So it's either you're going him or him. There's no, or you can go for RFK Jr. That's just going to hurt Biden and help Trump more. Fine. But I think that's what we're going to see. I think it's going to be a 1980 level landslide.
So you know what my fear is? Honestly.
Yeah.
Kennedy.
You think he can pull that much?
No. The Kennedy equation, where somebody becomes so much of a problem that one never knows to what means and to what end people in power will go to save their power. Now, I don't mean that literally, but my statement to clarify is that I just think by whatever means necessary that a lot of the people that are pushing against Trump, when you looked at how they made every effort, even the Vindman listening in on his calls to another leader, basically taking away Trump's authority as as the chief executive with every step possible. Like he's talking to another leader about Ukraine. Everybody knows Ukraine has some problems with corruption. It's
right.
a 101. It's not a heavy lift. So he's sort of digging into that. So my thought with that, when they went after Flynn, Justice Department, they took Flynn out just with laser accuracy.
Right.
Because Flynn knew where all the bodies were.
Yep.
Flynn understood the dynamics of leadership under the Obama.
That was 100% entrapment.
Oh, and you know what? And what happens to him? There's no cover. He's on top of a hill taking fire. There's no cover for him. So my statement being is, where's the hill? What do they call the knoll on Kennedy? The grassy knoll.
Grassy knoll.
There's a lot of grassy knolls out here for Trump, and every time we turn around, there's another grassy knoll. So do we think that we've seen all of the operations against him using lawfare? I don't think so.
I mean, I agree. They could pull out other stuff, but I feel like they have went through their book of tricks.
You think that's it?
And at the end, I mean, what was the last thing they really tried? Get states to take them off the ballot. Because nothing else was stopping.
Sure.
They did indictments. They did try impeachments. Didn't work. They tried
local.
They tried January 6th. Didn't work.
Yeah.
Right. They did all this law. They waited on and brought Fannie Willis and Alvin Bragg and all these people popping Jack White and all this stuff. That one working. Okay. What else is it? Oh, states control elections. Get states to remove. And there was there was about 12
and
or 14
Supreme Court
states.
saved that.
Yeah, 12 or 14 states stacked up, ready to also.
Oh yeah, they were queued up.
Colorado leaned in first.
Yeah.
And a couple others, and there was to me, I saw that as one of their last attempts. And yeah, the Supreme Court said, no, you'll create chaos and you'll totally dismantle how this country was founded on. States can't make that determination. And they were trying to. I think the Dems saw there was no way to stop him, but if they hadn't pulled off a ballot, he's essentially stopped on a technicality.
So go back to the January 6th conversation. What would the Democrats' January 6th be? We don't know. And there's conversations about what happens when Trump wins. What happens when Trump? You remember how they tried to get, when Trump won the Electoral College, how they were leveraging members of the Electoral College to vote against.
Right.
That was a real
Oh,
real
yeah.
serious. If that's not election interference, I don't know what is.
Here's what I know is going to happen. I'll put money on this. On November 6th, there's lawsuits coming from somebody, right? Someone's not going to, because we already seen the left can't accept that he could possibly win. And before it was Russia, Ukraine, whatever, someone's going to sue saying something. I guess it's not much different than the last couple of elections. Half the country's going to be pissed off, right? And half the country's going to be happy.
So if they've been programmed to think that January 6th was an insurrection, the Democrats, and it's boiled into their brain, I don't think it's about going after Trump. I think it's about motivating their base to lose their marbles. And if the Justice
But I think
Department,
the base is getting worn out, except for the extreme. That's why I think the base is going to stay home. I think they're just worn out. They're like, okay, enough's enough. Like, you guys have tried. You've tried everything at this guy.
I see a lot of Trump insanity online this day.
Yeah, because you can be brave online, right? But I think the everyday person, I just know from my own personal experiences. I have friends and family who are liberal and stuff like that. I just know.
Well, I'm going to sleep better tonight.
I know their tone. I mean, I don't want to sound too. I'm not a Pollyanna optimistic, but I just know their tone, their posts, their memes have all went quiet, like for a month. No one's saying anything, right? These are people. These are everyday Americans that I have personal connections with, that aren't talking smack, that aren't bragging, that aren't putting they're just
starting to like.
Yep, they're just like now. And every once in a while, I poke the bear, and I'll put something. I'm like, hey, what? And I don't call them. I just put it vaguely up. And there's nothing, right? And I just take that. I kind of do that as an informal survey to kind of see what's out there. And that's
see what kind of fire it draws.
Right, and there's nothing, right? Because honestly, you can't. I mean, right now, it just came out the other day that I don't remember where the report came from, but that the Biden administration, the campaign, is going to bank on they're going to try to enable. I mean, the last couple of elections, the midterm stuff, it was all about abortion, right?
Right.
Trump just diffused that.
Well, it's still coming out.
It's coming out, but he came out with a statement that kind of diffused it. And now they're saying they're going to use the unrecognized voting bloc of the LGBTQ community, and that's what the Biden administration is putting their money on. That they can
1%.
They can enable and mobilize them to make a difference.
Yes, 1% of the population.
So if they're putting it all on that, is that not another sign that they have nothing else left?
There's not enough numbers there. I never underestimate your enemy. I tell you. Because,
true, absolutely, because you don't know.
So everything you say, I agree with the caveat that there are very smart people at work that do not want Trump to become our president again. There's a lot.
When they lost in 2016,
yeah,
they spent the next 4 years figuring out figuring out what local election areas they need to target to win 2020, and that's what they did. They're not going after. If you look at the contested areas down to the county level that happened in 2020, they are not going after the big blues and the big reds.
They're going for swings.
They're going for swings, and they're at the county local level. They were stuffing ballots in Pennsylvania. They were doing it in Arizona. They were doing it. So they spent.
We have more observers there now.
Right, but they spent 4 years really analyzing all the data from 2016, and they knew where they had to focus in on and zero in on, and it was effective.
Yeah,
and that's what they did. Right, even in getting some.
So you don't think they're playing 3D chess on this at this point?
Oh, I think they're playing something. I just don't know what cards they have. I think their card decks. I mean, they flipped everything over. I don't know what they have left in their hand. Short of something, and I take this however you want. Short of them doing something to physically impact or try to intimidate, I guess is the best way to put it, to keep me safe, right? Short of them trying to do something like that, they can't pull another COVID out. They played that card, right?
Yeah, no.
COVID card played, right?
Yeah.
This card played. Insurrection, they tried that. Look, the whole reason of January 6th and the whole reason of the second impeachment that went so blistering fast, they didn't give a crap about if he went. They just wanted him not to be able to run again. That whole reason was not to be able to run. They were scared then, which tells me they knew he probably should have won in 2020.
Do you think they don't have an end game, that they only have kind of like treating symptoms and not the illness?
I mean, I think their end game is they want to win, but I mean, they don't have a solid.
It's not like a chess move. You think it's just flies?
I think they see what sticks.
See what sticks. Yeah,
because if you look at the variety of things, and right now they're on 4 cases. The state thing didn't work out.
Yeah.
Insurrection thing that didn't work out. Impeachments didn't work out. Now they're trying to get these trials going, pulling him off the campaign trail, right, doing all that kind of stuff.
And he's withstood it all.
And he's withstood it all. And I was just say, I mentioned this the other night to a friend. I heard something interesting the other day from Kayleigh McEnany. She said, she really thinks he should name his VP candidate. So while he's in the courtroom, that person can be out there keeping the message. And I kind of thought that's not a bad idea. I know he's holding on. There's a lot of excitement and rumors and stuff. But if he were to name his candidate now, even if he's having to sit in a courtroom, obviously he would pick someone out there that would be able to carry that message strongly.
Tulsi, Vivek.
Again, it won't be Vivek. He's too much like it's right?
So this is a Republican thing, not building the next president. So here's $100 question: if Trump is going to make, is he going to build one of his family members to become the next president? That would be ridiculous. None of them are really built for that. They might be great people, sure they are, but the next president. You think he's thinking about that? I would hope he's that much of an American.
Look how much of a kingmaker he's been in
Bingo.
Stuff,
Good
right?
term. Yeah.
So I think so. But when a president, there we talk about identity politics, right? The reality is identity politics have been around for as long as he's been a vice president candidate because that's what they pick.
Yeah.
They got to pick a VP that pulls over a voting block that they probably can't.
That's why they brought Pence.
That's why they brought
Pence. It locked down the
evangelical vote, right?
Yeah.
So, Trump is not going to pick Vivek because Vivek sounds like Trump. He talks the same way and stuff. That's not getting him new. He's going to play identity politics. Tim Scott, Tulsi Gabbard, Kristi Noem.
You like Tulsi? I don't mind.
I do like Tulsi because she checks a lot of blocks.
She does.
Again, you got to be Tulsi. It's got to be identity politics, and besides the demographic blocks that she checks, she can pull the moderate Democrats across.
And those she gets a woman voter too.
Those center lefts that aren't totally. They're not maybe independents, but they're kind of center lefts. She bounces out the yin to the yang. Right?
She does balance
that. Minority, female, all that kind of stuff,
and a reasonable person.
Yeah. She talks smart. She's good. Yeah, she's centrist. She said things that people don't like. Whatever. Okay, you got it. There's all kind of people. Trump says stuff that people don't like. But Kristi Noem's an option. There's talk with Carrie Lake. They're not going to pull her from the Senate. They need the numbers they have. Right. Tim Scott's a phenomenal. He's been a great person out there. I think he's probably the number one on the list. Tom Cotton is possibly one. I have a lot of ideas who may be cabinet positions, but I think for VP, I think that's kind of where it sits. It would be one. It's got to be someone that pulls across a demographic that they need to win, right? That's why you pick a VP.
So here's a dangerous, and you don't have to answer this. This is kind of an issue. So one of the big things with Trump was less foreign wars. He wants to put the brakes on too much leaning into the military-industrial complex. Do you think that affects that conversation on a VP without figuring out who that is?
I don't think that affects it as far as to pick the right one.
Because you've got like the Israel thing going on right now, and Trump's like, you got to get this done. They lost their marbles on that.
Right.
But if you watch some of the sort of the logical talk show hosts, a lot of them are going, Trump, he reads the room. He's really good at reading the room, and sometimes he says things awkward, but within it, he's like, these things look bad. He looks at he's a PR guy, 100%. So I wonder if any of that dials into that because
I don't think he's going to pick a war hawk or anything like that, which I don't think there really are any there in his list. But
I like a smart war hawk.
Well,
you remember the thing that the goal of war is peace.
Right.
I think that's Trump, isn't it?
Yeah, I think and I think his method of keeping peace, not having war start, and Russia didn't do anything to Ukraine when they did it during Obama years, they did it during Biden.
They bookended
it. Is because he's so unpredictable. That's a deterrent, right? I think when he gets elected, if he comes in, he'll execute wars. But he's going to execute the finish, right?
Oh yeah. He's got an end game, and he's like, when
he's going to wrap them up. He's going to wrap them up.
Wrap it up, guys. Wrap it up, guys.
And he's going to let those generals and let those.
Let them do what they need to do.
Right. And I think that's definitely going to happen. I'm not sure any of that stuff's going. I don't think any VP pick has ever, except for maybe GW when he picked Cheney. Has it really ever been a VP pick to help with foreign policy?
You don't think Cheney was a war hawk, do you?
I know, but don't get away. Don't go bird hunt with him.
Yeah, I know, right? Boom.
But that's how you know. I always tell people that's how you know you're a badass when the guy you shoot in the face comes and apologizes to you for putting his face in front of your shotgun. But GW obviously picked him because he had a lot more foreign policy experience, and
he had the chops.
And if you go back and look at it, George W. gave him a lot of free reign to run that because he knew that good dude knew better than he did. He picked the, you circle yourself with smart lieutenants, smart people, right?
Cheney's kung fu is serious.
And his shooting skills, and I don't think, except for that, I can't think of anywhere, Montiel wasn't picked for that, right? Bush Senior wasn't picked for that. None of them. No, Gore definitely wasn't picked for that. They're not picked for any of that. They're picked for some domestic stuff, but nothing else to pull over a voting block you can't get. That's why I think it's going to be one of those folks. There's some outliers out there. Some people talk about Ted Cruz and stuff. No, I think that dude's AG #1. I think he's
I agree with that. And to that point, so
and he doesn't pull in a new voting block.
Cabinet. So the one thing that I've heard from people that I know that are inside the Trump circle, and I've heard this more than one occasion, Trump has a cabinet in mind, much more so now.
I bet he does.
And you want to talk about Blitzkrieg? I made the reference to.
What do they say? How's that saying go? Fool me once, shame on me. I mean, I've talked about this too. I've talked about on the show here that the one exciting thing about him, I didn't want Trump to run for this one. I wanted him to stay a kingmaker.
Oh I felt the same way.
But at the same time, he talked about draining the swamp. He's burning it down this time. He's got nothing to lose. He knows how big.
I think he'll play 3D chess.
He thought he knew how big and bad the swamp was. He's got nothing to lose now. They've thrown everything at him.
So what cabinet position would he give 5A?
I don't know what he'd give him. I think I know what he'd be good at. Secretary of Treasury.
That's like put him as director of FBI.
Yeah,
but he wanted GSA though.
He wanted GSA?
He said he wanted
GAO?
No. I mean, maybe I see he can't be state. Right? He doesn't have the foreign policy experience. I think Treasury would be where he is. I think Treasury's it. I think I guess these are my picks. Not what do I think he's going to pick. What do I think he should?
OPM.
Oh,
he wanted OPM.
Office of Budget and Management?
No, Office of
Personal Management.
Yeah.
OPM. Okay.
That was his idea for.
But that's not a cabinet
It's an agency.
But is it a purse string? Is it control over purse string?
Well, he wanted to. That was.
Did they make reference?
That was his target for how to minimize stuff. How to cut jobs.
Well, if you remember, Trump was in line. He was shutting down OPM when he was in office. He had put a plan together to dismantle that agency. And that started while he was in office, but then it got ended when he left. But no, I think Ted Cruz would make a great attorney general.
Agreed.
I think there's a number of others that I think there's a number of possibilities for state.
I think you'll assign ambassadors to countries in a lot smarter means.
Yes.
State Department. I think that's the one thing that we get out of Trump is a much more proactive foreign policy through his ambassadors.
I think who was the guy that was his who was the CIA director and then was his Secretary of State before starts with a P. You know what I'm talking about? No, not Petraeus. Not the general. He was CIA director and then he was state. He was big guy. He's been on some. I can't remember his name top of my head.
The big guy. Yeah. I see his face.
I think Trump's going to bring him back in. I think there's a few players.
He's a little swampy though.
I think there's a few players he's going to pull back in from his past administration. But
And he did a really good job.
Thank you, Doug Pompey.
Yeah. Pompeo.
Yeah, Pompeo, not Pompey. Pompeo. I was like, Pompeo had a ball.
Yeah, Pompeo is there. He has his kung fu is strong, just like Cheney's was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Pompeo. Sometimes I don't like his grounding on certain things, but also, you know what? It's not up to me to like it. I like him as a bulldog.
Yeah.
He's got. I mean, those organizations, they you need somebody. If you're, I would imagine running CIA requires a very strong personality.
Right.
You know, that sort of goes. And who was his DNI? The guy that was the JDNI, who was
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he killed it. He was real well.
You know, in that spot, I think he made.
Director.
I think it was a DNI.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Super strong.
Another spot for Tulsi could be SecDef.
Oh yeah.
If she doesn't get a VP in Iowa, she's got the military.
See, and that goes back to the whole thing that I have heard is that if he sets his cabinet up right, that's where he makes things happen fast. Because if he has his trusted cabinet.
Oh, Radcliffe, thank you.
Thank you, Radcliffe.
Doug is
solid as a rock.
Yeah.
Really, that was the one cabinet position. It's probably the one I was most excited about under Trump because that was a treacherous landscape, and with a guy like Radcliffe.
But here's the thing: Trump could win.
Yeah.
Could win a great cabinet, but it comes down to those seats in the House and the Senate. We can't have this 1-2 vote difference. I mean, this country needs to give him the mandate so that he can pass things. Says, the first time he fought the Dems, he fought the established Republicans, he fought the media, he fought all of his first one. He got in there, and then had to fight the whole time against all the South.
When he had a lot of betrayers, he had a lot of Brutus's, there was a lot of backstabbing against Trump. There were a lot of staffers that were playing the part of a pro-Trump and then stabbing him in the back. There was huge leak. Probably remember problem he had with
That's
Chief
what I mean. He's fooled me once. I think he's gotten a lot smarter to that. And
Chief of Staff. That's going to be a big deal for him who he picks for White House Chief.
Because that's a job I'm not sure anyone would want. Because
I'll take it. I'll just cut heads off.
As the elf or as the
probably as the elf.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, guess who's getting fired today? Step up. You're done. Ah! I like the way you put your jacket on this morning. You're gone. I mean, seriously, how do you? It's a 101 in management. It's Christmas every day except for you. Goodbye. How do you manage that chaos?
Well, it's not managing. You're also managing him, which you can't do. Which you can't do. The chief of staff. I mean, he's his own chief of staff. I mean, he doesn't need a chief of staff. I mean, that's the thing. You can't really. You're not going to.
I think Trump. I think one of the things that people don't give Trump credit on. I honestly believe this. I think Trump is a better delegator than people believe. If you deliver, he doesn't want to hear detail. He's like, give me the 5-minute speech. Don't drag. That was the whole thing about the argument.
Which is sometimes why he brought people in and they didn't last long. Is he gave them a chance, and luckily, unlike most politicians, he just got rid of them. And then of course the media and stuff used that as a weakness. Like, look, he goes through all these people, right? But a lot of them, you remember in the first administration, he brought in he had more general officers than anyone's ever had.
Yeah, I remember.
Because he thought, okay, they know how to lead, they know how to do this. But guess what? Listen to reality. When you get to a GO level, you're a politician at that point, right? And they also worry about what defense contractors they're going to get on the board for, where they're going to do this and that stuff. And a lot of them didn't, or what speaking circuit they're going to get into and that kind of stuff. So
what's their golden parachute look like?
Yeah, so I think he put a lot more trust into military officers that weren't soldiers and just were politicians in uniform, and that's why
they followed orders. They knew how to follow orders.
But you also have some that those are also very A-type personalities who are used to leading and commanding, right? I've utmost respect for H.R. McMaster. I've met him. I've known him. I was so excited when he got in there. Did not last a long time, but they know how to lead on a battlefield. And, some of them had a problem with, being told one way or the other. So it.
Who surprised me, and I thought there would be more names again. We'll move on. His name will come to me. Secretary of Defense, the first one who stepped down. Who was the first secretary?
Okay, Secretary of Defense, Doug, first one that stepped down. I feel like I'm playing.
He was the general. He was the general that was really effective.
Kelly?
No. It was another. I gotta get.
I'm waiting for the thing. But the Marine guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And they asked him, what keeps you awake at night? He says, nothing.
Yeah.
I keep other people awake at night.
Yeah, he had a pretty great record except for
Chaos, yeah. Exactly. I didn't understand the arc of how that played out.
Yeah. Well,
I thought that, obviously he's a Marine. The thing I like about Marines is that one would think that Marines are given specific instructions to follow, like baking a cake. No, here's your mission: kill these people, make it in, and don't and obey orders. But there's a little bit of movement room for Marines to get the job done. I thought that would fit well with Trump.
Yeah.
Did he spit the name out yet?
No, we're still waiting on the name.
Code name Chaos. So, yeah.
I can't believe.
Yeah, General Chaos.
He left. Yeah, he had a little bad record in Afghanistan. We went in and first took the teams in Afghanistan. He left the team out there. But besides that,
did he?
Yeah. ODA team 847 that took Karzai in. But that's a whole other thing. Mattis, yes.
Mattis. I was so excited when Mattis came on team.
Did you
Mattis stepped down?
Mattis was his first SecDef. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, God, I mean that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I guess the too much of toxic environment for him.
All right, I got 8 minutes left. I want to bring Chris in. I know you. Come on,
Chris.
Yeah, this is your place. So, come on, you got the brisket ribs. We know who you want to vote for 2024. So we're just gonna call you Chris. We're not calling you anything else. Don't want to, So
my dog's name.
Yep.
Not
ribs,
from a
but
dog.
maybe the next one. The next one maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry. But if you get another dog, you got to name Ribs. That's it. But yeah, so we're in Chris's house. He's a musician. He's a great friend. Known him for a long time. He's been sitting in the background here, also just piping in every once in a while. But
setting up some lights, which is kind of cool.
Got a lot of lights going on. You probably saw it got better. You probably saw the shadows go back and forth. But that's okay. We're drinking a little bit. You got what do we got here?
So our friend Zach is watching. He said he was impressed by this.
The Calumet.
He's got a lot of whiskey.
Small batch. Zach knows a little bit about whiskey?
A lot.
Oh, well, we're working on it, Zach. We'll let you know how it ends up tonight.
This has bite and it's smooth at the same time.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
Yeah. So, Chris, we've been here to talk about politics. I wasn't sure where the show was going tonight.
Okay.
It's been, as you know, heavy politics. We've been speculations on what the Trump cabinet's going to look like and everything else. You're also in tune with a lot of things. You work in around the industry and that kind of stuff. Any thoughts or anything about where things are going that just what your perspective is on stuff or where you think things should go? I mean, do you think Biden's got a chance? Do you think,
I'm like people were like never Trumpers. I'm a never Bidener.
Sure. Never Bidener?
Yeah.
It doesn't flow as well, but I got it.
Like never Biden.
Or never, should you say never Kamala or?
I mean, yeah, that's even worse.
Isn't that really what you're saying? Is because a vote. I mean, they say it, I know, but isn't truly when you look at the state Biden's in, is not truly a vote for Biden, is a vote for Kamala for the next 4 years.
I just think if you're willing to vote for Biden in the current, economic and world order, economic order, safety, security, in defense, world order, what's happening, the money that's being spent with irresponsibly. I don't know how you could possibly.
Yeah. Do you think it's a hold your nose, close your eyes kind of thing, or do you think people just won't show up like I'm thinking it's going to happen? Do you think people are just thinking? I mean, I knew when Trump first got elected.
I think a lot of people that voted for Biden are rethinking this.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It's the thing.
Yeah.
I know. When Trump first got elected.
Real quick.
What? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Let's just go. What? This show's about to take a turn for I don't know which way, and we're off the air. No. When Trump first got elected, I remember, we there are a number of people, even some fellow coworkers, things like that, and friends of mine that were hardcore left people that would literally like come up to me like, I'm like, cool. Why are you whispering? Like they were so scared of people hearing them. And that's when when that started happening more and more is when I started thinking, I think he's got a chance. Because I started looking what signs were out, whose signs were not out. And he's running into people were just like nonstop going, whispering and saying, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going with Trump. I'm like, why are you being so serious? They could not go public. So I was thinking like this guy may have a chance when he won against Hillary. And then it really turned out to be because of just like I was saying earlier to Paul, my everyday interactions with people in my circles, my coworkers and family and friends. I was just like, man, if this is just a snapshot of America, like there's a trend. These aren't just people that I know. This is something that's got to be going on everywhere.
I can understand why people don't like Trump.
He says things that
But the things about him that upset people are the same things that allowed him to be president, because he had to fight for that role,
mm-hmm.
and he had to.
I tell people he could have just stayed a millionaire, billionaire,
Yeah,
just chilled out,
and
the left would have loved him, and he'd been fine, and he would have retired well, and he set his kids up, and he's been fine.
But in terms of, if you set that aside, I mean, I like Vivek. I think he's smart. He's young. He's intelligent. He speaks so much more well than I do right now. He's quick witted. I like, there's so many other people that I really like that are in Trump's camp that I think it's a good place to
be. Yeah. What do you think about a VP pick? Who do you think it'd be? Or who would you like it to be?
I would like it to be Vivek, but I think that Vivek might be better in a role. It sucks because if it was him, it would be cool, but it might make more sense to have someone else in there to have a different alignment to bring more people in.
Yeah. So you like it to be, you don't think it will be?
No.
Who do you think it'll be?
I don't know. I don't know all the candidates actually.
Who's on his list?
I mean,
yeah.
I like.
They say he has a list.
I'm sure. Like I said, he probably already had his cabinet picked out.
Okay, I'll get on that.
Announce it right now.
Yes. So we have a couple minutes left. You're involved with a lot of things. You're big in the music industry and that kind of stuff. Anything that you want to let our viewers and listeners know? Anything that's near and dear to your heart as far as organizations or nonprofits or anything out there that means a lot to you that you support, that you just want to get a plug in for?
I would say, and something I've thought a lot about is if you have the capacity to play music, as I do, and you're willing to play for charity, something that you believe in, I think that's a good thing that you could do, because you're given this gift to play music, and you don't have to make $200 for a gig. Maybe play for charity. Maybe, actually, what I think, Paul, come in here real quick. So let's talk about the remember the Hurricane Harvey benefit?
That was cool.
We have a minute left.
Yeah, okay, 1 minute.
So if you can find a charitable opportunity that others don't see, what we did with Harvey, 50 seconds, was that everybody said #Houston. And so all this money was going toward Houston. I do the math and go, wait a minute, Houston doesn't need money. What about the perimeter around Houston? So a lot of times you dig in deeper to who the real people in need are. You can sort of find ancillary needs around a core need, and then smaller numbers have greater impact. And so we were able to raise $35,000 for the Golden Crescent Food Bank outside, and there was more damage outside of Houston than there was in Houston. So $35,000 4 meals. What's 35 times 4? 71. 140,000 meals
yes,
from one event.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
music and beer.
Whatever skills, talents, gifts you can do.
Anything you can do to raise money for
food
something.
Bank.
Do you believe in food bank? Yeah.
Food bank that rock.
Okay. There you go. All right. Well, that was an hour. We're running done, and I want to thank so much. I want to thank Mr. Paul.
Yep.
I want to thank Chris for joining me as we sit in Chris's living room here and drink up his good stuff, and maybe he's gonna play some music for us later. Thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Stu and the Nunn. Really appreciate all the people that were on tonight. Saw quite a few. Thank you, Doug, for filling in and as the unpaid producer. And we hope everyone has a great night. Stay safe. God bless.